Oh, hi everyone. Welcome back to math. Just practicing some tunes on my little piano. Okay, so welcome. Good morning. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day, so make sure you get outside and enjoy yourself a little bit. If you want, if you can, take the computer outside if it's not going to rain. And enjoy the sun. Okay, so we're just going to go over your homework from yesterday. It's easy to lose track of days. Okay, so mine looks a little bit different than your Google form. That's because when I was making your Google form, I broke up all the problems. So I might have a little bit more here than you did, which is great. Okay, so for the very first one, it says the measure of one angle is 13 less than 5 times the measure of another angle. The sum of the measures of the two angles is 140 degrees. Determine the measure of each angle. And the biggest problem people are having with this one is they are forgetting to put both angles in there, so both x's. So you need 5x minus 13, and you also need just the x. So this represents one angle, this represents the other angle. Okay, so if you did not get this right, go ahead and look at that first. And then make sure you put minus 13 instead of 13 less. If you're still having trouble with the 13 less and the less 13, look at the helpful hint sheet that I gave you for the very first lesson. Okay, and I'll post it again with this lesson, but that really helps you too. So refer to that when you need to. All right, so for this one, I did have you on your Google form. I did have you, I think, measure the larger angle. Okay, numeral 2. So an angle measures 17 more than 3 times the number. It's supplement, so the supplement means it adds up. They add up to 180, which some of you did not get that right on your Google form. So it adds up to 180, so remember that. What's the measure of each? Oh, I'm sorry, its supplement is 3 more than 7 times the number, so 3 plus 7x. All right, so notice I have my two angles, the expression we're going to use for them. And then when I add them together, I add all of those together, okay, all those terms together. All right, so 17 and 3 you can add together to make 20. The 3x and 7x equal 10x, so you can add those combined like terms. All right, and just solve for x. X is going to be 16, and then plug that in. All right, if you have to stop at any time, please do so. If you ever want to send me a copy of your work, I'd be happy to look over what you're doing. Okay, so this was the next problem. The angles of a triangle are described as follows. Angle A is the largest angle. Its measure is twice the measure of B. The measure of C is 2 less than half the measure of B. Find the measure of 3 angles. All right, so I just started out saying that angle B was x. If you do that, then everything else kind of just falls into place, and you can easily write the expression for A and easily write the expression for C. Okay, again, if you're still having a difficult time writing those expressions, it just takes a lot of practice. Just hang in there. Okay, hang in there. You'll get it. I have faith in you. All right, there's all my work, so if you want to stop the video, feel free. All right, let's go over to number 5. The measure of one angle is 11 more, so 11 plus 4 times an angle, so 11 plus 4x. The other angle is twice the measure of the first angle. So if you look at this, twice that whole thing. So I put the expression for angle 1 inside parentheses, and then I distributed the 2. Okay, you'll have to do that in order to get this one correct. And then, of course, we're going to add those together as your like terms, and you'll get 195. And just solve for x. Alrighty. And there's this one, which we're not going to go over. You are welcome to freeze the computer at any time, but I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Again, if you want to go back and look at those, feel free. All right, before we go on to lesson 6, I did have you do a couple more on your Google form for homework. I just want to glance at those. Linear and nonlinear. All right, so again, number 8 on your Google form was x squared minus 4x plus a half. Since we have that x squared, it's nonlinear. People are still not getting this correct in your Google form. If it's linear, that exponent needs to be 1. The exponent that goes with the variable needs to be 1. Okay, notice here there's nothing, so therefore it's 1. Okay, x to the first power is the same as just x. So that's what you're looking for. For the next one, for number 9, you have 7x minus 5. Notice that's a 1, that exponent. Therefore, it is linear. That's all you have to look for. All right, and then the very last problem was blast from the past, a volume problem, which was awesome. Remember, the volume is the area of the base times the height of the shape. So to find the height of the shape, ooh, this was a trickier one. They said they want the water level to be 5 centimeters below the top. The top was 60, your height. So you have to subtract away from that to get the height of the shape. And multiply your numbers together, and you'll get 237,600 centimeters cubed. All right, but they want it in liters. So all you have to do is divide by 1,000. Okay, because there's 1,000 centimeters, cubic centimeters in 1 liter. Just divide by 1,000, and you got your answer. Okay. Hopefully that was okay. All right, moving along. If you want to take a break, go ahead and stop the video and take a walk around the house before we get into the lesson. Today's lesson isn't a lot of new stuff. It's more review, but it will take you a little bit of time. So if you want to go ahead and take a break, go for it. If not, we're moving on. Okay? Well, I'm actually going to take a drink of my tea. All right, so what we're looking at today, if you printed out the notes, it might be helpful actually. Today, those are some steps that we need to follow. The essential question today is, how do you find a solution for a linear equation using the distributive property? So it's the same as we've been doing. We're solving for that unknown. We're solving for that variable. However, x is going to be on both sides, and we are going to have parentheses. Okay, so if you're good with parentheses, you should be good with this lesson. Now, I want you to write down these steps if you did not print out the lesson. These are the steps that you're going to have to follow for this whole unit. Okay? And I'll give you an acronym in a second. First step, change to addition. If there's any kind of subtraction, change to addition. The reason why is because you need to change that before you distribute. So change to addition. Okay? Add the opposite. Add the opposite. The next thing, you're going to get rid of your parentheses by distributing. Distribute right away. Okay? Number 3, combine like terms. Number 4, solve for x. Okay, you want x on one side, the numbers on the other. Okay, remember that's what we were working on last week with those x on both sides of the equations. And then last one, check it. Check it. That will help you a lot. Okay, that'll definitely catch some silly mistakes that you make. All right, so again, change to addition, distribute, combine like terms. Those are the 3 major ones. And then you know to solve for x, and hopefully you'll check it. Now, do you have an acronym? These are icky problems, right? Well, when you have say an icky virus or an icky disease, who do you look for? Who do you look to for guidance? Do you know who you look for when you have a icky disease or icky virus health issue? We look for the CDC, right? The CDC. And that always gives us the, we've been hearing a lot about the CDC. CDC stands for the Center of Disease Control. Okay, so when we have a virus, we look to the CDC for guidance. So we have an icky problem. So you're going to look for this to the CDC for guidance. but not the Center for Disease Control. You're going to look to change to addition, C, distribute, D, and combine like terms, C. Change to addition, distribute, combine like terms. All in the CDC. We got this problem. All right, so let's take a look at this first one. All we're going to do is solve these problems. That's all we're going to do today. Okay. What are the steps to following the problems? We know. Call in the CDC. Hello, we need some help. Let's go ahead and follow those. We're going to change to addition. All right. So sorry, you got to look up the ceiling for a couple minutes here, actually for a lot of minutes here. There we go. Got my glove on. I'm ready to rock and roll. All right. For x plus, you know what, let's go ahead and distribute that because on this side we're all addition, so we're all addition on this side. Okay, plus 21 equals, you gotta have fun while you're working, right? And you know I do. 28x plus 12 plus a negative 3. All right, so we got our CD taken care of. Now we need our last C. We need to combine like terms, and then we'll solve for x. Combine like terms. So 16x plus 21 equals, 28x is all by itself. Sorry. Plus those guys, and that equals, what, a negative 9, positive 9. Okay, all right. Next step, we need to get rid of one of those x's on one of those terms because we want all the x's on one side and we want all the numbers on the other side. Start with the lower x. Get rid of that. Alrighty, we're almost done. Now it's looking better, right? It's like the finish line. You can see the finish line in a race. All right, so you're going to divide by 12, and you're going to have 1 equals x. And that is your answer. So let's plug that in real quickly. Here, see if we can. So we'll just use the space above it. So 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 3 times 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 7 is 11. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 3 minus 3. Okay, so 4 plus 33 equals 37. Let's see, 40 minus 3 equals 37. Yay! Checks. Okay, the CDC worked. Thank you, CDC. Next one. All right, we're not going to worry about any kind of properties here, writing the properties. Of course, we know to use them. Let's just do the problem. All right, CDC. Let's change to addition because this is the ugly one. 20 plus the opposite of 3x plus a negative 9 plus a negative 2 equals the opposite of negative 11x plus what? Okay. Now, if you want, when you have a negative outside that parentheses, go ahead and you can add a 1, so it's negative 1, if that helps. All right, we're done with C. Now let's go to the D, distribute. So we have 20 plus negative 3x plus negative 9 times negative 1 is positive 9 plus a negative 2. Negative 1 times a negative 11. X is positive 11x plus a negative 1. Whew. All right, see, lots of steps, lots of work, but it's the same thing over and over and over. So we got u, and u. We're going to combine all those guys together, and we're going to get 27 plus a negative 3x equals 11x plus negative 1. Okay, now let's get rid of one of those x's. Either one. Let's get rid of the negative 3x, because that way, then, we get rid of that negative at least. 0. 27 on this side. Ding, ding, ding. That's all by itself. That's great. All right, now it looks a little more familiar to you. Go ahead and add 1 to each side. 28 equals 14x. Divide by 14, divide by 14. You're going to get x equals 2. Okay, and if you go ahead and you check that, and putting 2 for x here, that's what you will get it correct. All right, so yay. Let's try one now. There you go. Try this one. Doing the same thing. All you have to do is solve for that x. So go ahead and CDC it. All right, stop the video, CDC, and come back and we'll check it out. Alrighty, and we're back. See what I have here. See if it works with, or if it agrees with what you have. Alright, so we first want to change to addition and distribute. This one didn't have too many negatives except for that icky one outside the parentheses. So I just combined this to do that in one step, which is fine as long as I'm CDCing it. Alrighty. So we distribute, we combine like terms, and then we solve for x. So I guess we could say the CDCs. All right, and then get rid of one of my x's, write it over here, and then just solved as normal by undoing that equation. And your answer would have been negative 10 over 7, or if you said negative 1 3/7, that is awesome. All right, questions, message me, email me, whatever you want to do. Next one. All right, so that one should only take you a couple minutes. Go ahead and CDC it and come back. All right, let's see what I got. Okay, if you did this the same way I did, which hopefully you did, you got rid of the 2 x's, right? But if you subtract 2x from this side, you have to do it from to this side. Then you end up with 2 on this side and a negative 3 on this side. Those are not equal to each other. So actually there's no solution to this problem. There's no answer. All right. Okay, we're going to skip a couple more. We're going to go to on your own. Now, in my notes, I have all the steps laid out for you for these problems. So please go ahead if you're having a difficult time, look at those notes. Otherwise, we're just going to try one more together and then you can go enjoy your day. All right, so stop the video and go ahead and complete this problem, number 1. Like I said, if you want to try more, there's more in the Eureka book, there's more in the lesson, and there's more in my notes. So feel free to try those. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video. Let's do it. Come back. Alrighty, there is all my work. So I seed it. CDCs. So I went ahead and I changed to addition by adding the opposite. That's just to make it easier for us. Okay. And then for D, I distribute it. Distribute, 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 distribute. Okay. Once you change to addition, this helps you a lot with your distribution. And then you combine like terms, which is right here. And then go ahead and solve for x. And you will get an answer, and that will be x equals 4. Now, that's all we're doing today was we're practicing finding x. Sometimes there will be a solution, sometimes there will not be a solution. And that's actually where we're going to. There's a really quick way to see that, but we have to make sure that you're proficient with finding the value for x if it exists before we get into that. Those little quick finders or cheaters. So that's it. Like I said, go out and enjoy your day. Do something kind for somebody else. If you're feeling a little stressed out, the MTSS website has some sites for you to visit, some information for you. So on Google Classroom, the MTSS Google Classroom page has that information for you. Just hang in there. I'm going to go try to find some chalk so we can write positive messages on the sidewalk today. So I think that's what we're going to do after work is done, or maybe during lunch. So have a wonderful day, and as always, email me questions.